Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this episode, what I want to talk about is a TV program that was near and dear to my heart. I'm talking about none other than Video Soul. Now, if you're not old enough to remember, Video Soul is a popular TV series that featured not only guests, but music videos from Black artists on BET. That is Black Entertainment Television. And Video Soul premiered June 25th, 1981. Wow, it's crazy to even think that it's been that long. Yeah, June 25th, 1981, and it ended in September of 1996. But I wanted to get on here and talk about Video Soul, man, because it just the mere mention of it puts a smile on my face and it brings back so many great memories. Video Soul was something that was very, very popular in my generation. We had to have it. And I think one of the great things about Video Soul was that it was consistently good until it wasn't, but it also gave birth to a lot of different programs that we would later see on BET. So let's go back to the beginning. For me, BET was a great alternative. And what I mean by that is I remember getting cable TV in my house in the spring of 1981. And it was a big deal. I mean, because we went from having 3 channels to now having about 25, 26 channels. Now, the difference was we had a box on the TV. And on the box, you had to change it manually. So you couldn't change the channel from your seat. You had to manually get up and punch the buttons to change the channel. But one of the channels that we had on our cable TV subscription was a channel called MTV, which is music television. And for me, MTV was dope. But I thought it was dope because, one, we got a chance to see music videos. I don't recall really seeing a lot of music videos prior to seeing MTV. The difference was with MTV was that you didn't get a chance to see a lot of Black artists. And that was important to me because I'm Black. I don't know if you know this or not. But yeah, I am Black. And for us to have the ability to see music videos is one thing, because yeah, I like watching videos from Van Halen and Twisted Sister as much as anybody else. But the flip side of it was not only did I want to see them, but I also wanted to see artists that look like me. And at that particular time, you know, Black artists really wasn't getting a lot of play. It was Michael Jackson, and then it was everybody else. Very few people after that. Prince got a little bit of play, but for the most part, Black artists didn't get a lot of play on MTV. One of the people that were outspoken about MTV and the lack of Black artists was none other than the late, the great Rick James. Rick James, who, had hit after hit after hit, was very outspoken about the fact that Black artists couldn't get play on MTV. He couldn't get play on MTV, and this was in 1983. And in 1983, I will read you a quote from the great Rick James. Quote, "A lot of Black asses are going to come together and explode on MTV. There are no Blacks on MTV's program list except for Tina Turner, and she stopped being Black about 10 years ago. MTV puts on these little punk white groups who don't even have record deals. Blacks are missing opportunities and sales, and they're missing exposure," close quote. And Rick was very adamant about the fact that Black artists did not get a chance. He went on to say, "I'm a crusader without an army. All of these Black artists claim they're behind me, but when it's time to make a public statement, you can't find them. They're going to let me do all the rapping and get into trouble, and they'll reap the benefits, close quote. I mean, Rick being Rick, but Rick was being honest. And what happened after that was, not long after Rick made those comments, you started to see more. Cable TV exploded even more. And while we had cable TV in 81, I don't recall getting BET on our cable until like 1982. By then, they had already created a program called Video Soul. And Video Soul, in its inception, was only on the air originally for a half hour, and it would move eventually to a 2-hour program. Video Soul was very important because, one, the guest host. The main host, now I'll give you the names of the hosts that they had. Sherry Carter, who hosted from 1992 to 1996. Sheila Banks, the ever popular Kenya Moore, was once a host. Someone named Brett Walker, who I'd never heard of before, who was a host from 94 to 96. And Big Les from Rap City fame also hosted Video Soul from 94 to 95. But the most popular host who's always been associated with Video Soul is none other than the original Green Eye Bandit, none other than Donnie Simpson. And Donnie Simpson hosted from its inception in 81. And I think he came back to host right before it went off the air in 96. Donnie Simpson, you cannot mention Video Soul without mentioning Donnie Simpson. In fact, that's why he is the cover art for this particular episode. Video Soul aired for the most part from, I want to say from 3 to 5, at least from what I can remember. At one point it was 2 to 4, but it was a 2-hour show. And the great thing about it was that you saw all of the Black artists that you love, from Diana Ross to Al B. Shore to Aaliyah, so forth, Luther Vandross, so forth and so on. Almost New Edition, anybody that you can think of that had a hit or had a fairly decent song in the 80s and 90s, they got airplay on Video Soul. And I thought it was dope, man. It was must-see TV. Now, the biggest question that I have for most people was, how did you watch Video Soul? Because for me, Video Soul came on when I was in school. So there was no TiVo, there was no, being able to stream it on your phone or anything like that, because the internet had been created. So how I watched Video Soul was through my VCR. VCR, the video recorder, you get yourself a blank tape, put the tape in, or maybe you might tape over something that was already recorded. And you record Video Soul, you set the timer for it, you record Video Soul. And so I would record Video Soul every day until I ran out of tape. And then, like I said, sometimes I would record over something that I'd already recorded before. But it was dope, man. It was dope because, again, you come home from school and everything's right there. And then the cool part about it was, for us, if you recorded it on your VCR, you could then, by the time you got home, watch it on replay, fast forward through the commercials, or if there was a video that you didn't want to see, you fast forward through that as well. But it was dope. And in summertime, we watched it live, because here's the thing about Video Soul. There were no repeats. Every now and then you might get a repeat once in a blue moon. I don't ever recall watching a repeated episode. So the episodes with it being taped live, or at least we thought it was taped live, and it was presented as if it was taped live, you got it and you watched it. So during the summertime, a lot of times, man, especially, that in growing up in South Carolina, that's the heat of the day. So I'm going to watch Video Soul before I go outside and kick it with my friends. And Video Soul was dope, man. It was something that me and my friends lived for. And again, we were able to watch some of our favorite videos. Another thing that was really, really dope about it was the interviews. Donnie Simpson was the ultimate interviewer. The thing that I loved about Donnie was, you could tell, one, he had a radio background. I mean, he was a radio legend in DC. Shout out to DC. He's a radio legend in the city of Washington, DC. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's born and raised there. but Donnie Simpson had a radio background, so he knew how to make his audience and his guests very comfortable. And not only were his guests comfortable in the studio with him, but you would often see them very laid back and very much at ease. And I think that's very important because here's the thing. You want your guests to feel at ease. You want them to open up on TV because it is TV. And you want them to be able to tell their stories and share their experiences and have a good time. And Donnie wasn't controversial. He wasn't in your face. He was just real laid back. And or shall I say, he is laid back because he's still with us. And a big shout out to Donnie Simpson. He was someone who I think growing up, we all, particularly those of us in the content game right now, if you came up in that era, you owe a debt of gratitude to Donnie Simpson because people like him have helped pave the way. But yeah, he made his guests feel at ease, and he was always smooth with his transitions. If you go back and look at, because some of the interviews are on YouTube, he made them feel at ease. He made everything seem very smooth. And one of the biggest things that he did on Video Soul that I love, that I still try to incorporate to this day with this podcast, is he made the listener, in this case, the viewers, feel like they were in the room with him. And that's not something that's easy to do, particularly when you're dealing with a guest. And sometimes guests can be, on the offensive. Sometimes they can be unwilling to open up. But Donnie, he didn't ask like tough questions or where you want to fight or anything like that. But he just made you feel at ease. And I think that got the most out of, his guests. The one thing that Video Soul did do, amongst a bunch of other things, was that Video Soul spawned a legion of TV programming that was to follow. Like I said, Video Soul was on from 81 to 96, but it also spawned shows like Video Vibrations, which ran from 84 to 97. The ever popular Midnight Love, which ran from 85 to 2005. Video LP, which ran from 85 to 93. And the ever so popular and dominant Rap City, which ran from 1989 to 2008. Now, here's the thing about Rap City. Video Soul would play some rap videos, not a lot though. And if they did play rap videos, it would be the Run DMCs, the LLs, those type of artists, Salt and Pepper, artists that were like top 40 artists that were able to kind of cross over and have that type of appeal. But you weren't going to see like, I don't know, a Tribe Called Quest. You weren't going to see them on Video Soul. You just weren't, because by the time that they hit their stride as artists, that's what Rap City was for. That's what their platform was. It also spawned shows like Teen Summit. Shout out to Ananda Lewis, which aired from 89 to 2002. Screen Scene, Planet Groove, and the crazy Cedar's World, which aired from 99 to 2003. And of course, I would be remiss and say that if it had not been for Video Soul, there would be no 106 in Park, which aired from 2000 to 2014. BET Countdown, and a list of others. I love the Top 20 Countdown, which would happen on Friday nights from 9 to 11. The Top 20 Countdown was dope because you got a chance you watch Video Soul the whole week, and then you would have a top 20 countdown of the video. It'd be Video Soul's top 20 countdown. And so whatever the top 20 videos were that particular week, you would see it on Friday nights from 9 to 11, and they do the countdown and play the videos. And so even if you missed recording some episodes of Video Soul that particular week, you can watch the countdown and you get the videos from there. So it was a win-win situation. I love the programming. What made Video Soul dope? I think one of the things that made Video Soul dope was the ability to, one, play and cater to artists that look like us. When you think about what Rick said, BET was ours. And it was created in a sense because we had no lane on MTV. There were only a few that were going to get played on MTV. The Michaels, the Prince, the Tina Turners, the maybe Lionel Richie, maybe, after he crossed over, but you had to have huge crossover appeal to get airplay there. Rick, as big as Super Freak was, couldn't get Super Freak played on MTV consistently, but it got major airplay on Video Soul. Rick got major airplay on BET. And I think that's one of the things that made it dope, because it was ours. We didn't have to share the platform with anybody. We didn't have to change anything as far as like what we were going to present. And BET didn't have to change anything. They could just give it to us raw the way that it was. And I really appreciate that. I think there's something to be said when you can turn on videos and you see people that look like us, and not be critiqued for it. And BET, more specifically, Video Soul was ours. And we relished the fact that it was ours, and we enjoyed and supported not only with our viewership, but with our money and everything like that. So those are just some of the things that made it dope. I mean, Donnie Simpson was a dope interviewer. Again, some of the guests that came through, I mean, like those interviews that he would conduct, not just him, Shelly Carter as well, from obviously New Edition. I remember Luther being on there, Prince. I don't think Michael Jackson ever came on Video Soul, but he may have been the only person who didn't. Basically, any and everybody who was somebody came to Video Soul to sit down on the couch in the studio in DC with Donnie Simpson. Some will make the case that BET and, more importantly, Video Soul fell off after owner Bob Johnson sold it to Viacom, and there's truth to that. But ultimately, man, Video Soul, they put out a dope product, man, and we were just here for it. Like I said, there were very few episodes that I missed, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's interesting, as I was looking some stuff up for this particular episode, I was trying to remember when Video Soul went off the air, because I don't remember it. The website say in September of '96. Well, for me at that particular time, I was getting ready to graduate from college. So at South Carolina State, I probably wasn't focused on, what was going on in Video Soul. We didn't really have the internet like that. So I don't necessarily know that I knew what was happening, as far as information wise, but Video Soul was dope, man. And I really enjoyed having it and seeing us being represented, on the big screen. So if it was that dope, why did it end? My guess is ratings. I didn't see anything in particular that would suggest otherwise. That's usually the case. But, by this time, hip hop was dominating. R&B was still R&B, but, hip hop was dominating the charts. So Rap City was still around. And at that point, I'll be honest, they were probably getting ready for, I know 106 in Park came in 2000, but, it was the dominance of Rap City, and, they were probably making moves and getting ready for what would be 106 in Park. Of course, like I said, they had other avenues, from Midnight Love to Video LP that, kind of carried that torch in between. But Video Vibrations, all of that stuff kind of seemed to end around the same time. So maybe that particular part of R&B music wasn't as popular, and maybe people weren't tuning in as much. I don't really know. I think we probably have to ask Donnie Simpson as to what actually happened. But nonetheless, I don't think you could ever take away from the impact that it had. It's weird to think that it's been gone now, 25 plus years. Like, that's crazy to me. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it while it was here. They did do a reboot for Tubi. I know in 2021 there was a Video Soul reboot on the popular channel Tubi. I'll be honest, I'm not a Tubi guy, so while I have access to Tubi, I never tapped in to see what it looked like. For all I know, it could still be running, and if it's still running on Tubi, that's great. That's phenomenal. But I don't really know if you can rekindle that flame, because one, people aren't watching videos the way that they once did, and honestly, I don't know that people are even creating videos the way that they once did. I know for me, like if I want to see a video, I'll go to YouTube. but the days of me like yearning to find a video or watch a video, it's probably long gone. I mean, I'm more interested in older videos. Probably the videos that I'm interested in seeing, a lot of them appeared on Video Soul. So I'm not really interested in looking at SZA's latest video, but if I want to see Don't Disturb This Groove, I'll go to YouTube and find it. And it's unfortunate that run ended for Video Soul and Donnie Simpson. And again, there was a lot of change. There was a lot of turmoil. Bob Johnson sold the company, and they also made way for like I said, shows like 106 in Park that would come and dominate in 2000s. And I mean, there's a generation of kids who grew up on, like me, who grew up on Video Soul, and then the next generation of kids grew up on 106 in Park, and that was their Video Soul, to be honest. And it came on at a time where they were after school, they were home from school, and they could watch it, and it fit kind of right into their wheelhouse. And they watched people like Bow Wow, host, and Free and AJ, and that was they were their Donnie Simpsons for them and their generation. But Donnie Simpson was just as key and a part of Video Soul as they were to 106 in Park. Ultimately, in conclusion, I think Video Soul will always be remembered as a trailblazer for Black artists, for Black entertainment TV. BET and Video Soul are hand in hand. I mean, like, they're synonymous with each other. You can't mention BET and not mention Video Soul. It is very popular and still is popular with our generation. It's still popular to this day. And you'd be hard pressed to find someone my age or younger within that parameter who grew up on that can't tell you about a video or memory or something that Donnie Simpson did or something that he said that was, that wasn't entertaining. And the way that the world works, could there be a Video Soul again on BET? Probably not. BET's programming is totally different from what it used to be. So I doubt very seriously that could happen. I would love to see it happen. But again, how much do we watch videos? The one thing that we have to hold on to is the fact that for the time that it was here, it was dope. And we all flocked to the TV, and we all used our VCRs, and we all sat ourselves in front of the TV, and we didn't miss a interview. We didn't miss a video, and we hung on every word because Donnie provided it for us, and it was great, must-see TV. And we appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. The podcast drops every Saturday. Tongue-tied. Excuse me. Every Thursday. I don't know where Saturday came from. My bad. Every Thursday at midnight. From time to time, we drop bonus episodes on Sundays at midnight. That's what I meant to say. Follow us on the socials. Twitter X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at 12Kyle, at 12Kyle Podcast. Remember, the podcast drops, like I said, every Thursday and every Sunday on all streaming platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, that's where you can find us. We're also on YouTube. There's audio and video on YouTube as well. You can leave comments.